Welcome back to Severe MMA, and today I'm delighted to be joined for the first time by Decky McAleenan, who is taking on Adam Ventre next Friday at Cage Warriors 118. Decky, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Chilled out. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not doing too bad. So I suppose, what are the emotions, or how are you feeling ahead of this fight a week out now?
Yeah, it's a week today, so I'm buzzing for the fight. So I am at this stage. Uh, it's been a long time for my fight. I think it was last November, my last fight in Cage Warriors, and that was a long time ago. And I've been training to fight Ventre now from August, I think. So with the last one being cancelled, it's time to go. Like it's a fight that needs to happen.
Absolutely, and I want to talk to you about that matchup and the last fight and everything in between. But firstly, just this is the first interview we've done. So how did you actually get into martial arts and MMA?
I've been doing martial arts now. What am I? I'm 29 now. I started karate whenever I was 8. So I've been non-stop from then till now, training and competing and fighting. Uh, I'd say started off karate when I was about 8, got on to the national team by the time I was 12 or 13, and then from then until say I was on the national team from maybe 12 or 13 up until about 22, 23. Whenever I decided then to pull away completely from that end of competing and just solely focus on MMA, which has started when I was about 19, maybe. Just made the jump over from one to the other.
Okay, and I want to talk to you about your style. I think you have one of the most exciting styles, in Irish MMA. When you win, the fights are incredibly exciting, and then I know the last couple have been frustrating. I think fights would be fair to say for you. Um, when I look at your style, like I see you have a very kind of like flashy, like a flowy style on the feed, like big strikes, flying knee KOs, the lot, and then you also have a very impressive guard game. So, but when I look at your style, would I be right in saying that you almost are? Would you almost kind of accept a takedown because you're so confident in your guard and the attacks that you can, like your triangle chokes and things like that?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to throw a shot and get taken down because I trust my jiu-jitsu that much. We have a great team up in Newry here, and we had one of the first black belts in Ireland with being Sebastian. So I don't care where the fight goes. I just don't want to be. Whenever I fight, I want to finish a fight or be finished. I don't want one of these fights that don't get turned over if it was on, like Joe. And that's unfortunately the way this past couple have went with people stalling. But we're lucky enough now. We have a couple of new training partners and coaches in the gym. Uh, that that's not going to be an issue for me anymore. Now we're gonna change up slightly just to try and start. You have to fight now for a game plan. I'm at that level now. We're going to have to game plan to beat people to try and stop the stalling. So that's the only thing really.
Do you think that it's your opponents identified that as maybe like just kind of implementing like a wrestling heavy, as you said, it's kind of stalling or very kind of gritty game plans against you? Do you think
Yeah,
that's been
like
the case?
yeah, because like I've known now, but the in my previous 3 fights, but well the two past, not the last one. As soon as the two boys were hit, one aimable was gasping for air within 20 or 30 seconds of the fight, if it even took that long, with a body shot that he was hit with. And then it was just me rushing for the finish and not fighting for points, not like thinking to myself, like any second that I'm in a fight, whether it be the last second of the third round or the first second of the first round, there's a chance you're getting finished. So like if the gas tank to go the 15 minutes or whatever. So uh, I had to get that out of my head a little bit and start making sure that I'm also winning rounds and not just winning, like not just getting stoppages
And do you
because of
feel? Sorry, go ahead.
sorry. It's just because of them frustrating fights, having to do that. Like
And has that been an area that you've really kind of focused on the last while?
yeah, it's just with lockdown happening and everything, taking a bit of time off at the child and that, and getting to watch my fights back and study like while I was off. it is just something that needed added to my game, just in case, because the finish isn't always there.
And I know that you said to Josh Palmer in the cage, even after your first Cage Warriors win, that you were kind of frustrated with it, and that you personally didn't think it was a great performance. So like when you kind of, it's been over a year now since Cage Warriors Cork. Like when you reflect on your Cage Warriors run to date, like what are your thoughts on that looking back now?
I'm actually 2-2 with Cage Warriors. My first pro win was against a lad in London, so it wasn't Cage Warriors. I took it on about 2 weeks' notice. That was my first fight back from injury. 4 years ago, 3 years ago. Then I just sort of went on a bit of a run locally and over in, locally and over in the UK, and then signed back with Cage Warriors. My run with them has been frustrating. There's been a lot going on inside and outside the cage last year. Like the other thing, what not a lot of people know is I fought him about needing knee surgery, and then got the knee surgery 10 days later, and then fought 2.5, 3 months after that again. So it wasn't the smartest idea, and maybe should have took a wee bit longer. But like they're not the reasons why I lost the fight, you know. But it just kind of was rushed. The whole thing with Cage Warriors was just like, it hadn't been great. It wasn't a good start to come back and get signed with them and that. But as I know, because then Amable went on to fight for the world title, like he couldn't stand with me. There wasn't a hope that he could stand with me, and he went the distance. I think no, it was only 3 rounds he went for because he missed weight, didn't he?
I think so,
When he
yeah.
fought for the fight, he didn't actually get the title fight. Uh, he went against Mads Banal, who I thought was quite good, and went the distance with him and had a good display of striking. Uh, so I think that I'm just levels ahead of them when it comes to striking. And another reason for moving the lightweight is the boys are a wee bit bigger, so maybe they can take a shot better than the featherweights, and they'll be willing to stand and try and land one back.
And I was going to ask about that. So, and apologies, I forgot about your first fight in Cage Warriors. But so when you rejoin, or when you joined the promotion again, after winning the Akuma title, after winning the Cage Legacy title, you fought Steve Amable at featherweight. But then the last few fights, I know there's been the catch weights, and then I know this one's obviously going to be a lightweight again. Is lightweight your future, or do you plan on going back to 145 at all?
Uh, yeah, but if the right fights are at 145, I can make it sort of not handy, but I can make 145. I can make 170. That like the fight against Amable was a featherweight fight. The fight against Mearns he is only a featherweight, but it was meant to be. It was a catchweight because he was out injured and wasn't sure if he could make it on. Wasn't sure if he could make featherweight, so he took that at a catchweight. Then we said we give lightweight a try, and we scheduled the fight a Welsh fella at lightweight. He pulled out in a week's notice, and Yes Brutus stepped in at, I think it was at 76 or 77. We fought out then.
Yeah, and I want to look ahead as well to this fight. I think this is a fantastic fight between yourself and Adam Ventre. You both have very fan-friendly styles. We've seen Ventre against other Irish fighters like the likes of Dylan Tuke, who had an absolute war. You yourself put on, I think you've had on the regional scene in Ireland, you had one of the most kind of electric runs in Cage Legacy and Akuma, and like the performances, the crowds, everything. So this is a real, like he's labeled himself the BMF of Cage Warriors, I know as well. It's a real fan friendly matchup, isn't it?
Yeah, that's if he shows up to fight, then this will be a cracker of a fight. And if he shows up to stall, I'll still beat him.
And I know that you've spent a lot of time, I imagine, thinking about Adam Ventre, considering the fight was previously booked and then it obviously fell through due to COVID getting in the way. You're rebooked again. Are you kind of sick of looking forward to or looking ahead to fighting Adam Ventre?
Yeah, that's as I said. This fight needs to happen. Don't like it's getting to this stage of the camp where you're sort of irritated enough and ready to fight, but they've done it twice now to fight him. It
Yeah, and
it needs to happen soon. Like,
And apologies to Adam if he's listening to this, but I actually noticed on YouTube earlier on, I was looking back just over fights and things like that, and he actually has a playlist of Decky's fights with all your fights. So he's obviously scoping you out and has been for a while. I assume you've watched a lot of tape on Adam too.
Yeah,
And
yeah, we've
what do
watched
you
a
think
lot
of
of.
him as a fighter?
I think I think he's a cracking fighter. To be honest with you, he's a good, solid game fighter. Uh, he's not just a one-trick pony. He's a good grappler. He's a decent boxer. He started recently to add more, like he started to add like a Thai boxing style in now, where he's kicking more and throwing more knees. Uh, yeah, so I rate him. He is quite good, and he's also against Tim Burnett. Tim Burnett, isn't it?
Yeah.
He started to stall a wee bit against him though. He's starting to play it a wee bit more safe. So hopefully that's not the game plan. As I said, if he fights me the way he fights Took, we're in for a cracking night. So we are. It's going to be a cracker of a fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. He's also a BJJ black belt. Is there in the back of your mind, are you thinking like I've got a lot of finishes off my back? Is that kind of like would be a cap in your feather or feather in your cap rather? If you were to sub a black belt off your back?
Yeah, but see, like Yazbidis was also a black belt, and the grappling wasn't even close because by the time we hit the ground, I'll have hit you. John, like I will have hit him. I hit Yazbidis, and it clearly takes the belts off you after you get a dig in the mouth or a knee in the mouth. So by the time if we're going off belts, the time it hits the ground, I'll be ahead.
And so when you look ahead to this matchup, I want to get a prediction from you here. So how do you see it going? How do you see it playing out? And also, sorry, actually, before you answer that one, I've got another question first. Is there pressure on you to get a finish? I know you're a finisher. I think it's Yazbuta's fight was the first one in your pro career that went to a decision that was a victory. And I think it's the same for Ventre. He's only got one fight that's gone to decision when he's won.
And
Is
that
there a
was
pressure on you
Yazbidis.
to get your first finish?
Uh, to get another finish.
Sorry, to get your sorry, to get your first finish this time around in Cage Warriors.
No, I'm like as I said, I'm just coming out to push a stupid pace that I don't think he's going to be able to keep with. If I says if he lasted 3 rounds, it's going to be one hell of a fight. But if not, I don't think he's going to be able to keep up with me. I think he gasses, and I think that's going to be an issue. To be honest.
Do you take anything from having the common opponent for both of your last fights in Jasputis?
No, we're too like I know how much I progressed from I fought Yazbridis and he fought him before me. That was his last fight. So God knows what tricks he's added these game. The same as myself. Like it's if I fought last November, he fought last September maybe he fought Yazbridis. So that's a lot of time to sort of progress. So it is good to watch and see how he done against him and see what areas he struggled and what areas he succeeded in. But I don't think it means too much.
And I want to talk about kind of like goals and like you've probably I'm assuming you've seen that Dean Barry, another Irish fighter, was signed to the UFC there recently with just a 3-1 record. Does that kind of give you a lot of like an extra kind of bit of motivation to think, okay, like the matchmakers are clearly looking at Irish fighters, and I could potentially catch their eye with a big performance on the Cage Warriors cards next weekend?
Yeah, like I I've never had anything handed to me. By the time I get to the UFC, I'll have earned it. Realistically, I think in my head, a good performance against Ventre and maybe 2 fights next year, and that there's no reason why I'm either not fighting for a title or, that making my way to the UFC, and that's the honest truth there. By the time I get maybe a 3 or 4 fight win streak on Cage Warriors, then I'll be sweet. That'll be me away off to the UFC.
And I know it's kind of a very repeated question these days, and probably from myself a lot of the time too. But like you're talking there, so like your plan is to get to the title and then get to the UFC. Is that why you chose Cage Warriors? It comes up a lot of the time between the Bellator versus Cage Warriors routes and things like that.
Yeah, like I chose Cage Warriors because that's where in the UK especially that's where the top fighters fight the top fighters, and we see who makes it. Usually, what happens, you see some boys lose out the Cage Warriors world title, and they take the money route and go to Bellator. It's not Bellator. Europe's a lower level than Bellator. Obviously, don't like it's just Bellator. It's not Bellator or anything else. But at the minute, I started off wanting to be in the UFC and be the UFC champion, as most people did. And at the minute, there's no point cashing out to try and fight on Bellator. It's just not a place I want to fight.
And lastly, Decky, again, I can't wait for it. I really do think that this has the potential to be fight of the night come Friday night. Give us a prediction for the fight against Adam Ventre.
I think he's going to get tired and they'll finish him by the end of the second round.
Submission or KO?
Don't know.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah,
okay.
See how tired he gets.
Fair enough. Decky, I really appreciate the time. Before we go, do you want to give us your social media handles and any sponsors or anything like that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just Instagram, Facebook, Decky McAleenan MMA. Shout out to my main sponsor, McAllister Brothers, Comiskey Nursery Service, Arcadian IT, Buzzard Comics. I have my t-shirt on here, so
here we go. Get that merch out.
Yeah, and we have a lot of them on the back too. With Our Kings, Damien Rooney, Ken, Neil Grooming, B&M Meats, everyone that helped me along the way and stuck with me throughout the lockdown.
Last question, actually. What are you going to have as your first meal after the weight cut?
First meal after the weight cut?
Or maybe go first meal after the fight, actually. That's probably a better one.
Yeah, first meal out. Yeah, that's the better. As soon as I don't know what I'm going to get over in London, but as soon as I get home, I'll be getting, there's a wee burger shop in a town called Bunrail. You get a bun 2, 3, 4, it's called. So it's 4 burgers, cheeseburger, red sauce, Ben mac and cheese bites, chicken wings, and a wee chip. That's just
for starters, is it?
That's for starters, yeah.
Well, Decky, I really appreciate the time. Everyone, check out Cage Warriors 118. Well, actually, check out. There's a plethora of Irish fighters across Cage Warriors 117, 118, and 119 next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on UFC FightPass. Decky's going to be taking on Adam Ventre in, as I said, I think it's going to be an absolute bar burner of a fight at 155 pounds. Friday night, UFC FightPass, Cage Warriors 118. Tune in, and thanks for watching.